start a new file. So click this drop down arrow, select new. And since I'm gonna be using inches, I'm gonna use a CAD 3D template for imperial units and click open. Now I have a drawing here that I minimized. I'm gonna open this one and arrange my windows. So select view inside up here and click tile vertically. I'm just gonna adjust my windows. I'm gonna make this one wider. And make sure to work on parallel projection by clicking this drop down arrow and select parallel. And I'm going to work from front view. So click custom view and select front. Start a line from this corner here. So type L for line command. Right click. Click anywhere on the screen. Move to your right for 2.5 inches. Enter. And the distance from this corner to this corner is 3.71. So another line in point. Move your cursor downward and enter 3.71. To your left for 2.134. Enter. And move your cursor above the x-axis in the second quadrant and enter the distance of 1.778 and press the tab key, release, and enter 140 degrees for the angle. Enter, which is from this point to this point, this one here. Alright, so now these are broken segments. So what I'm gonna do is join the segments. So type J for join command and just window the whole thing. And the thickness for this one is 0.25 inches as shown here. So I'm just gonna offset, O for offset, and enter 0.25. And I'm gonna connect the endpoints by drawing another line. So L for line, endpoint to endpoint. Right click to repeat line, endpoint to endpoint. Join the segments again. So J for join command and window the whole thing. And I'm going to extrude this one. And the thickness is, looking from top view, is 1.5 inches. This one here. So go to home. Select inside the modeling panel. Select extrude command. Select the object you want to extrude. Right click to enter. And pull it in for 1.5. Now I'm gonna poke a hole through the face here as shown in this model and through this face too. And the distance from the center of that circle is 0.75 to the edge as shown here. Looking from top view and looking from side view, it's here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna change this to X-ray. Draw a construction line from midpoint towards that direction for 0.75. Before we proceed, go down to the status bar and make sure your dynamic input is on. Polar tracking, object snap tracking, object snap, and dynamic UCS. I'm going to draw a circle, and the radius for that circle is 0.219. So C for circle, shift right click, and make sure to select that endpoint as the center of our circle and enter 0.219. Enter. I'm going to poke a hole through that circle. So inside the modeling panel, select press pull command. Just hover over that circle. Once it turns blue, left click, release your finger, bring your mouse downward, left click again. Now I'm gonna create a hole through this face, and the distance from the center to the edge is 0.81. So L for line from midpoint, this midpoint here, move it downward for 0.81. Enter. It doesn't look straight. I'm gonna undo. Follow the green dash line and enter 0.81. There you go. Now draw a circle, and the diameter for that circle is this one here, 0.375. So circle. Click that shift right click and select the endpoint and enter D for diameter option. Enter again and enter 0.375. I'm gonna poke a hole through that face, so press pull command inside the modeling panel, hover over that face or that circle. Once the color changes, left click, release your finger, left click again. I'm gonna apply fillet, and the radius for that is 0.375. So go to solid, select fillet edge, right click and select radius option, or you can go down to the command window and enter 0.375. Select this edge here. Press the shift key and the wheel of your mouse at the same time to turn your object around. And click that, enter, and enter again to accept. Oh. I made a mistake here, so I'm just gonna, I clicked the wrong edge. So again, fillet edge, radius, enter 0.375. Click this edge here. I have to be careful in clicking the edge, because what I did is click the other edge there, this edge here. There. Enter and enter again. Let me check. I better change this to conceptual. Now the inside edge has a radius of 0.125. So fillet edge again, right click and select radius option and enter 0.125. Click this edge here inside. This one here. And I think the first part is done. I'm just gonna close this one here. Maximize this one. And I'm gonna assign colors. So go to home, layer properties. I'm gonna create about 5 or 4, maybe 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. And assign colors. The first one I'm gonna use, go to index, red. The next one, I'm gonna assign yellow. No, that one. The next one would be green. The next one would be blue. Next one, I'm gonna assign pink or magenta. And close this one. So select the object. I'm gonna change this to realistic, so you will see the real color. Select the object, click this drop down arrow and click layer 1. I'm just gonna move this one a bit so I could erase the unwanted objects here, which are these ones here, and press delete key. So our first part is done. So the next part, so I'm just gonna draw a line from maybe the edge here, and so this is just gonna be to, I don't want my objects to be overlapping. I'm gonna start from this point here. So I'm gonna hide this object. Select the object, right click, hover over isolate and select hide objects. I don't want to draw another drawing or another file. I want to draw all my drawings here because I don't want to use Xref. It's easier for me. It's your choice. And now I'm gonna open another drawing, which is my reference drawing part 2, and I'm gonna use, okay, go to view and use and select tile vertically, and make sure to work on parallel projection, which is I did already. And I'm gonna bring my drawing to front view. I'm gonna start from this in point. Alright, I'm gonna start from here, or this one here. No, this one, it won't matter. So alpha line in point to your right for 1.5 inches. Bring your cursor upward for 0.725. And 1.5 to your left, downward for 0.725. I could erase this one now. Now I'm going to draw another line from the midpoint here, or from this edge to the center of this circle, which is 0.775. So alpha line, this is just going to be the guide to locate the center of that circle, and enter 0.775. Now draw a circle, and the radius for that is 0.188. So type C for circle, click that in point for center, and type 0.188. Right click to repeat circle, and click that in point, a center, and type D. This time the given dimension is diameter, so type D for diameter option, and enter 0.75. I'm going to draw a line from quadrant, go down, and just click that perpendicular point. Right click to repeat line from quadrant, click that perpendicular point. Now I'm going to get rid of this arc here inside, so TR for trim command, enter twice, and just click that, click this one, and I'm gonna delete that. Now I'm gonna draw another line from in point to in point and join the segments, so type J for join command, and just window this one. And this one is another object, so I'm gonna join this one. No, you don't need that. This is just gonna be my guide, because I'm gonna draw a circle from, I'm gonna show you from the center, so looking from side view. So this is the midpoint of, or the center of that circle. So what I'm gonna do is change this to southeast isometric, and I have to change the UCS to home. You can do that by using Z-axis vector. If you point this, click anywhere on the screen and bring your Z-axis vector upward, and you can see the plane is along the horizon. So if you look at it, and now you can draw a circle, click that midpoint, and just click that in point. Extrude this one, and click that, and I could move these two, oops, move from midpoint or center and that quadrant, and the thickness for this one here is 0.35. So I'm gonna extrude this object, and this one for 0.35. Now I'm gonna bring this to right view and mirror this object here. So MI for mirror command, select the object, right click to enter, and specify first point of mirror line. You can click the quadrant or the center of this. So shift right click and select quadrant, first point of mirror line to quadrant or perpendicular point, and select no. Now I'm gonna clean up because I want this to be smooth all the way. See the curve here? I want to create this, I'm gonna show you this one here. So what I'm gonna do is union the object. So inside the solid editing panel, select union command and just select the objects. Now this is one object. I'm gonna use press pull command inside the modeling panel and press the shift key and the wheel of your mouse and hover over this corner here. Left click, release your finger, bring your cursor upward, left click again. Same here. Hover over once it turns blue. Bring your mouse upward. Release your finger and bring your mouse upward and left click again. Same process here. Hover over. Once the color changes, left click, release your finger, move your mouse upward, left click again. Now I'm gonna poke a hole through here. Actually, I have it here already. All I have to do is subtract. So subtract command inside the solid editing panel, select this object, right click and select the object you want to remove. But I missed this one here. So what I'm gonna do is create a hole here. Circle from, okay, what's the distance from up here? Okay, the radius here is 0.118. So circle, hover over the center, shift right click and select center. There. Oh, I have to change the UCS because the plane has to be on this object here. So Z-axis vector, click anywhere on the screen and point your Z-axis towards the direction. Now the plane is parallel to this face, so C, shift right click, select center. I hope you can see that the center is there and the radius is 0.188. I'm gonna poke a hole by using press pull command. Hover over that object, left click, release your finger, move your mouse to that direction, left click again. Let me check if front view, there. Yeah, that's perfect. And the next thing to do is apply fillet on the edges. So 0.381 is the radius. Looking, you can check the model here. There's that curve. So go to solid, select fillet edge, right click, select radius, and what was that again? 0.381. Alright, fillet edge, right click, select radius option and enter 0.381. Select this edge here, this edge, enter and enter again. Right click to repeat the last command, radius. It remembers the last value, which is 0.381. Enter to accept. Select this edge and this edge here. Enter and enter again. And I think there's a hole here. Yeah, 0.375. So I'm gonna change the. Now I'm just gonna bring this to southeast isometric. And click here to bring it back to the original state. So UCS world, and I'm gonna create a circle. C for circle, hover over that face and just click that circle symbol and enter D for the emitter option and enter 0.375 as shown here, looking from side view or front view, this one here, which is also this one, this circle here. Alright, so I'm gonna poke a hole through that face. So what I'm gonna do is just delete that. Alright, press pull command again, hover over that face, and once that circle is highlighted, left click, release your finger, left click again. And I think we're done for the second part. So I'm just gonna close this one, maximize this one, and hide this one too. create another drawing for the third part. I'm gonna draw a line first, so I don't want my objects to be overlapping somewhere here. So if I right click anywhere on the screen, hover over isolate, and select an object isolation, you can see that I have the first part here and the second part, but I'm gonna hide this one. Now the line should be from here to here. So I'm gonna start from this endpoint here. So I'm gonna hide this one, select the object, right click, hover over isolate, and select hide objects. Delete those. So I'm gonna start drawing from front view. So this one here. So draw a line from endpoint upward for 0.725 and move to your right for 1.5 inches. Downward, I'm just gonna track and close. I can delete this now. Now draw a line from midpoint downward to the center of this circle. So that is 0.772. And from that endpoint, draw a circle. Type C for circle. Specify center point. I'm going to use that endpoint. And the radius is 0.188. Right click to repeat circle. And the radius is 0.375. Draw a line from quadrant and just click that perpendicular point. Repeat line, quadrant to perpendicular point. Another line from endpoint to endpoint. I'm gonna trim, so TR for trim command, enter twice. Click that, remove this one, and I'm gonna delete this one. Now I'm gonna join the segments by typing J for join command and just window the whole thing. Now this is one object. Now I'm gonna bring bring your drawing to southeast isometric and change the direction of the UCS because I'm gonna change my plane. So you can go to coordinates panel, just click the Z axis vector, click anywhere, point this one upward, and draw a circle from midpoint and just snap that endpoint, extrude this one, click that endpoint, move the objects here from midpoint to quadrant and extrude this one towards the center, and the thickness is here 0.286. I'm gonna bring this to right view and mirror this one. So MI for mirror command. Select the objects and specify first point of mirror line. I'm gonna use shift right click. I'm gonna use quadrant and just bring it down, and you can see it's straight because of that green dash line. Click and select no. Now I'm gonna poke a hole. So inside the modeling panel, select press pull command, hover over that circle, left click, release your finger, move your mouse to that direction, left click again, and for the other one, same process. Now I'm gonna combine or union the objects. So select union command inside the solid editing panel. You can go to solid, and inside boolean panel you can select union, select this object. Now this is one object. Now I'm gonna smoothen. I'm gonna show you. See, if you look at this here, it's smooth all the way down. So I'm gonna use press pull command. Just hover over this area here, and once it's highlighted, left click, Release your finger, bring down your mouse, left click again, shift key and the wheel of your mouse to turn this around. Now I'm just gonna turn off the grid, and for this one here, now I'm gonna bring my drawing to right view, and I'm gonna draw a cylinder, circle. Oh wait, I'm gonna check the diameter for this one is 0.437, which is also this one here. The radius is 0.219. Alright, so C for circle, type D for diameter option, and enter 0.437. Extrude this one, and the height is 0.804, this one here. So extrude, select the object, extrude for 0.804, and I'm gonna chip off this side here, so you can see this one here, and if you look at it from right view, you can tell this one here, and the value of the y is 0.552, and this is the x. So I'm gonna draw a rectangle and to cut this portion here, so this one here. Alright, so I'm gonna bring this back to right view. I'm gonna change this to wireframe. I'm gonna draw a line from quadrant, bring it downward for 0.552. So that's the y value, and the x is 0.031. And just bring it upward. Now I'm gonna track. I'm gonna show you what happened here. I'm just gonna track from that in point and close. Now I'm gonna join the segments, this one, this line. Now we have one object, and I'm gonna extrude this one. I'm gonna change this to conceptual. It's easy to see. Now I'm gonna move this object. I'm just gonna use this to subtract from here. So go to solid editing panel and select subtract command. Select the object you want to keep, right click, and select the object you want to subtract. There you go. Now I'm going to apply fillet to create this curve here. And the value for the radius is 0.381. So solid, select inside the solid editing panel, select fillet edge, right click, select radius, and enter 0.381. And select that edge there, this edge. Enter and enter again. I think we're done here. And I'm gonna change this to realistic, and I'm gonna change the color to blue. So select the object. Oh, I have to combine. So use union command. Now this is one object. Select the object and change the layer to blue layer. I'm gonna draw a line from this endpoint upward for 1.5 inches. I'm just gonna delete that. It's just a guide. And another line for 1.5 across, but I'm just gonna hover over from the midpoint, move your cursor to the right, and half of 1.5 is 0.75. And bring it back for 1.5. This is just my way of centering the line. Now, bring your drawing to southeast isometric, and I'm gonna create a cylinder to create this one here. But first, I have to change the direction of my UCS to make the plane parallel to the horizon. So Z-axis vector inside the coordinates panel, and just click anywhere on the screen and point your Z-axis vector upward. So this is the direction of the cylinder. So cylinder inside the modeling panel, click that endpoint and type D for diameter option. And enter 0.375 and just snap that endpoint. So this is the diameter. And change the direction of the UCS because the direction of my cylinder is going that way. So the Z should be parallel to the direction of the cylinder. So my plane is on that direction. So C, click that endpoint, type D for diameter option, enter, and enter 0.375. Extrude this one and just hit that endpoint. Now I'm gonna join the segments. I join the objects. So use union command inside the solid editing panel and just select the objects. Now we're done. So I'm just gonna change this to realistic and change the layer to maybe yellow. And I'm gonna draw a line from quadrant up to here and select the object, hover over isolate and select hide object. I don't need those, and close this one. This time I'm gonna draw my object from top view. So click this one, select top, and I'm gonna start with line from this endpoint upward for 3 units. Then the width is 0.75. I'm just gonna track and close. Delete that. I'm gonna bring my drawing to southeast isometric, join the segments, and I'm gonna draw a circle. From the distance from the center of the circle is from the midpoint to this point for 1.37. So line towards the direction, which is the x-axis. I'm just gonna put this one down. You can tell it from by looking at the UCS. All right, so along the this is the y-axis, and enter 0.37. And draw a circle, and the radius is 0.09. And from the other side, the center of the circle is 0.37 from the midpoint here. So I'm just gonna draw a guide. Midpoint, enter along the y-axis, enter 0.37. Draw a circle, and the center point is that endpoint. The radius is 0.25. Let me check again if it's right. I'm just gonna double check if yeah, it's good. Sometimes I type in the wrong one. So delete this one. Now I'm gonna cut this portion here as shown here, and the distance from the quadrant, I'm going to draw a line again. From quadrant towards the direction is 0.06. So I'm going to start my cutting line from there. I could bring it here. Draw another line from this point to that point. And just trim. So TR for trim command, enter twice. Just remove that. Remove this one, remove that. Delete this two. Now I'm gonna delete that too. Join the segment. So J, rejoin command. Select that. Now this is one object. Now I'm gonna extrude this one. The thickness is 0.25, looking from front view. So EXT for extrude command. Select the object you wanna extrude. Bring it downward for 0.25. Now I'm just gonna change this to conceptual. Or maybe X-ray. It's easier to see those ones there, the holes. So use press pull command, hover over that hole, left click, release your finger, left click again. Hover over, left click, release, left click again. And I'm gonna change this to realistic and change the color to maybe this green. And we're done with this part. I'm going to start from front view and start from this corner here. So draw a line. So L for line from that in point to your right for 0.75. Move your cursor upward for 0.55. To your left, I'm just going to track, click that, and just click that in point. I'm just going to delete this one. This is just a guide. And then another line from midpoint, and the height for this conical object here, a portion, is 0.28. And to your right, half of 0.5 is 0.25. I'm just gonna copy this one and draw a line, in point to in point, in point to in point. Draw another line upward for 0.67. I'm just gonna track in point. I can delete this one. Now I'm gonna bring my drawing to southeast isometric and change the direction of my UCS. So inside the coordinates panel, select the Z-axis vector, click anywhere on the screen and point it upward. Now I'm going to use cylinder command. So inside the modeling panel, click this drop down arrow and use cylinder. Click the midpoint, snap that in point, bring it downward, snap that in point. Right click to repeat cylinder, click that midpoint, snap that in point, bring it up and snap that in point. Now this conical portion, which is this one here, this one or this one, I'm going to use. So inside the modeling panel, click this drop down arrow and select cone. And I'm gonna click that midpoint here and snap that in point. And for the radius, go down to the command window, click the top radius option. And as you can see, the diameter for this cylinder here is 0.5, and half of that, which is the radius, is 0.25. And just snap that midpoint. I'm going to join the objects. So inside the solid editing panel, select union command and just window the whole thing. Now I'm going to drill a bore from the bottom, but it's not centered. And so what I'm going to do is go to bottom. I'm going to draw a line from the quadrant to the left, and the distance is 0.34, which is the center. I'm going to show you using maybe 2D wireframe. So this one here, which is the center of our bore, and the diameter of that is this one here. So C for circle, just click that in point, type D for diameter option and enter 0.44. and the height for this one is 0.55. So what I'm gonna do is to bring your drawing around by pressing the shift key and the wheel of your mouse. Extrude this one for 0.55. Now I'm gonna use X-ray, maybe it's easier. Now I'm gonna subtract that from this object here. So subtract command inside the solid editing panel. Select the object you want to keep, right click and select the object you want to subtract, so which is this one. Now if you change this to conceptual, see the bore is not centered, and we're gonna bring this to right view. I'm just gonna change this to wireframe or back. See this one here, the distance from here to here. So di for distance from quadrant to this point is different from this point to this point. So quadrant to the center of the hole is quadrant to the center of this hole here is 0.34. So we're good. All right. Now I'm gonna bring this to back view, which is this one here, and I'm gonna chip off this portion here, which is this one. So I'm gonna draw a line from quadrant, move it to your right for 0.06, which is this one here, and the height is 0.22. So line again from that in point and enter 0.22. Click that perpendicular point, click that quadrant, and there you go. I'm gonna join the segment, so click this one, this line here, and this line. Just gonna delete that. There you go. So this is one object. Now I'm gonna extrude this one. I'm just gonna use conceptual. So I'm gonna move this one towards the center, so move along the z-axis vector. I'm gonna use this one to subtract. So inside the solid editing panel, select subtract command, select the object you want to keep, right click and select the object you want to remove. Yeah, I'm just making sure we are on. So this one has the biggest gap, which is this one here, and we chip off from this face here, from this direction. All right, so I'm just gonna change this to realistic and change the color to yellow. The last component would be the handle. So I'm just gonna bring this drawing to southeast isometric and point my z-axis vector upward and draw a cylinder. So inside the modeling panel, click this drop down arrow, select cylinder, click this in point and the diameter, so type D for diameter option, enter, and enter 0.187. Bring upward and the height is 0.4776, 0.4776, and another cylinder, so repeat cylinder, click that center, snap that center, and the diameter, oops, sorry, is 0.5. So cylinder, type D for diameter option, enter, and enter 0.5, and the height is 0.4976. Alright, so I'm just gonna combine by using union command. Select this object and this object, apply fillet, and the fillet for this one is radius is point 1. The same here, I think. So go to solid, select fillet edge, right click, select radius option and enter point 1. Click this edge here, this edge here, enter and enter again. And I think we're done for this portion. The next step is to combine all the objects or assemble. So I'm just gonna minimize this one or close, and so for the assembly I have to bring back my hidden components. So just right click anywhere on the screen or click this one first, right click, hover over isolate and select an object isolation. I draw the corresponding angles here so it will be easier for me to rotate the object or to determine the rotation of the object. So rotate and use the center of the bottom as the reference, as the base point, and then from the x-axis we have to bring it down for 40 units. So since we're doing clockwise, I'm gonna use minus 40 and attach it. So move and click the center of the bottom and attach it to the edge of this hole. So shift right click, click center, just hover over here and the center of this will show. I think we're good. And then I'm gonna check. So go to solid, select interfere, select this object and this object, and objects do not interfere, and I think we're good. I'm gonna look from top view and I'm gonna check with using x-ray. Yeah, I think we're good. Now I'm gonna bring this back to conceptual. I'm gonna, or maybe shade it with edges. I'm gonna draw a line as a guide from center of that hole or edge of the hole, center. Bring my drawing to front view and rotate this one. See this one here, if you look at this, the wing of the cross should go that way. So I'm gonna rotate, or to bring this to top view first and rotate this one from the center as base point and turn it for 90 degrees, and then front view. Now rotate this one from center and R and bring it down for, okay, so if we start from here, so bring it down for the angle enter 50. All right, and I'm gonna move this one, move, shift right click and select mid between 2 points, so that center, and from that center, and I'm holding now the center of the object and I'm gonna attach it here to the midpoint. Yeah, I think it snapped perfectly. Now I'm gonna check interfere, select this object and this object for interference, and objects do not interfere. I think we're good. Now for this one, I'm gonna draw a line from the center of that edge of the hole and here, then move the objects, move from midpoint to the midpoint of this, or the center of this cross. So shift right click and select mid between 2 points, so in the middle between these two ends. And I'm gonna check again, interfere. We're good. Now I'm gonna attach this one, so bring to front view. And if you look at, okay, if you look at the object here, there's a hole here that I miss poking. So front, and the distance from the bottom is 0.25. So I'm gonna draw a line. Shift right click from quadrant, from this quadrant here, bring it up for 0.25 and draw a circle, and the radius for that is 0.0469. So circle 0.0469. I'm gonna poke a hole, so use press pull command, hover over that area and release. Oh, it extruded instead. So if it happens, just use subtract command, select the object you want to keep, right click and select this object. Now we poke a hole. Now I'm gonna move this object from the center. See, this is not concentric, so hover over from, you know, at the side of the smaller circle, and so you can locate the center. I hope, yeah. Shift right click and select center and snap it on the center here. So shift right click again, locate center, and I'm gonna check. Maybe I'll do 2D wireframe. It looks good. And if I bring it to front view, it looks good. Now I'm gonna try interfere to check if there's any interference. So object do not interfere. So what happens if interfere? So what I'm gonna do is front. I'm gonna try moving this downward a bit. Move from here for 1 unit or 0.1. So if I use interfere, see that area that's darkened, it means that's where the objects are interfering. So it means our dimensions are not correct. So I'm just gonna put it back to where it was. There you go. And the next one would be this one. Delete this one. I'm gonna move this one, move from midpoint and snap it to that perpendicular to that line here. So this is the area where it was chipped off. And I'm gonna check again, conceptual, interfere, this object and this object, enter and enter again. So it says objects do not interfere. And this one, move from the center of the bottom and attach it to shift right, press the shift key and the wheel of your mouse and just snap on that center here of the hole. And I'm gonna check again. And I think we're good. I'm gonna check everything just to make sure. Nothing is interfering, so we're good. So I draw this line so it's easier for me to figure out. And as you can see, the face here is 140 from the x-axis from the first quadrant, so which is this one here. So when you move or you rotate the objects, it's easier for me like the rotation from going downward, going the opposite way. And I think we're done. So thanks for watching. I'm just gonna erase that, and I'm gonna minimize this one, change this to realistic. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified for the next tutorial. And please wait, I'm gonna draw a pen here. So go to home, and click this drop down arrow inside the solid editing panel. Click copy edges. Just copy this edge. Copy edges. Copy edges. This one here. There. Enter. And specify base point. I'm gonna click the center and paste it back there. Exit. And what I'm gonna do is select the circle and extrude it up to the center here. So just to keep the object in place when this is operating. So I'm just gonna do quickly solid interfere. Click this one and this one here. Enter and enter again. And objects do not interfere. So thanks for watching. So see you again, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified for the next tutorial.